but it's still almost nearly $2,000 of your income.
Yes.
Now, you actually have served Dane Dawson over several years, and you actually make her drinks with more liquor than the average drink,
Well, I make them the way she likes them.
which is with more liquor than the average drink, correct?
Sometimes.
And you actually made them strong on September 24th, did you not?
I might have. It was a lot of drinks I was making that night.
Actually, before the defendant left Chuggy's, she thanked you for pouring the drinks long and strong. Isn't that correct?
Danny doesn't know half the time what's strong and what's not. Sometimes I'll just shake it up a little more so it tastes stronger, but we're not really putting a lot of extra liquor in it. It's kind of a trick bartenders use.
But again, Danny Dawson thanked you for making the drinks long and strong on September 24th, 2010, correct?
She did.
Nothing further this time around.
Can you read it?
Yes.
Miss James, before Miss Dawson left the bar, in your opinion, was she drunk?
She was not drunk in my opinion.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Recross?
No.
Any comments, Coach Mason?
I've got just a couple, mostly on the direct. You get the whole thing, most likely failed DUI, just leave it at that. I thought the stuff following it was not entirely, and didn't really help us a whole lot. In order to give a lay opinion, you asked the question to the judge, can I ask her, in her opinion, was she ever drunk? I think that was the question, right? In order to give that kind of opinion, it would have to be based on her rational perception. And you can introduce something under Rule 404A1, the form of opinion reputation only under Rule 405A, but you can't give specific instances of conduct because it's improper character evidence. So that was admitted. But take a look at 404A1 and take a look at 405A. The problem with asking this witness that is, can she give that opinion? Is there a foundation for it or anything to that effect? So that's going to be the issue.
I actually had 404A1 up my sleeve, but no one objected to the story, so
Yeah,
keep it up there, man.
In real life, you're opening yourself up to a whole bunch, but there's not a whole lot you can get him on in the past, except for on this night, he drank a lot, and he got behind the wheel, and that's what we're here today about this night, cross-examination. Have comments?
Just on your direct, remember this is just a lay witness that's just there to tell what she perceived that night. And you can still get out all that information without actually asking. And like on the, on the drinks, I don't know her affidavit well enough to say how many she can testify to, but what you can always do is say, now, these are Danny's receipts, right? Wait, right. These are Danny's receipts, and Danny was buying drinks for, Taylor and for Vanessa and, for those cute guys over there across the bar, whatever you can do to show that not all of these are hers. Don't ask the number, just establish that Danny was buying drinks for a lot of other people other than Danny. Now, this though, I do have a question as far as why you guys are admitting it, because it does seem to be a little bit damning to your side with there being 17 or whatever drinks there are on there.
I just didn't want the documents to come up during cross-examination. I don't want to address it first and take a more proactive stance against it.
I think that'll work well if you can figure out a way to get your witness to talk about, yeah, there were a lot of drinks on there, but a lot of them went to other people. And it started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, really emphasize that. And that by, that at some point, Danny started drinking Cokes, and you see there's like 6 sodas on here. Whatever you can to kind of put everything on the front end or be giving it away. Kim, good job on the objections. Some of them were beach balls that were thrown out there to you.
I like playing beach ball. Sand and.
Any other comments?
Not anymore.
I thought it was a good witness. One thing is I noticed, the only thing I really noticed was when you're giving responses, make sure that you make eye contact. You were kind of making eye contact with the witness for the attorney for a little while, and then you wouldn't look directly in the direction of the judge. Overall, pretty good witness.
Defense have any other witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, defense would like to call Dr. Norton.
Cheers.
May I proceed?
You may.
Please introduce yourself to the court.
My name is Dr. Ashley Morton.
And where do you work? What do you do for a living?
I am a professor of medicine at Midlands State University. I also am a breathalyzer specialist and testify in trials.
And do you have any education which qualifies you to be testifying in those trials?
I do. I actually received my bachelor's in chemistry from Brown University, and I went on to receive my master's in forensic science from Johns Hopkins University, and then I went on to receive my doctorates from Johns Hopkins in 1995.
And how many cases have you testified?
About 100 patients, 100 cases, most of them involving toxicolizer machine.
Okay. Do you have any other than your education, do you have any other training or experience which qualifies you?
I did. Actually, I do. Excuse me. While I was working on my doctor's degree at Maryland State, I was a forensic expert there. And I went on to actually transfer over to Midland's forensic department, where I was also the alcohol program coordinator there for just over a decade.
Okay. So, Dr. Norton, why are you here today?
I'm here to evaluate the analysis report that was performed on Danny Dawson in the early moments of September 25th.
Okay. And what do you rely upon when you make that evaluation?
I relied upon the initial police report that was given to me by the police department, and also I interviewed Jamie Dawson herself.
And was this sufficient in making your analysis?
Oh, absolutely. This is all that I rely upon, and that is all that's really necessary.
So, coming back to the second factor later, why is the make or the model of the breathalyzer machine? Why is that important?
Well, it's important because every model is unique. I evaluate the publications on the model, research validating the model, etc.
You would. What is the reliability of the machine in question?
Well, it was actually a reliable machine because every machine is unique. These are fairly up-to-date models. The only error that I would ever see in it would be actually an operator error.
So that brings us to our next point. How might a operator cause a false positive?
Well, if the operator does not know how to perform a test properly, or doesn't know how to handle a test sample, or such as a pre-test observation.
Now, why is a pre-test observation period important?
Well, a pre-test observation is important because the subject needs to be looked at for a bare minimum 15 minutes, and during this window, the subject is prohibited from access to breath mints or mouthwash. Also, the operator must make sure that the subject does not have any signs of indigestion, such as belching, vomiting, any other signs of like acid reflux, because this can actually alter the readings to be false.
How can it do that?
Well, mainly the intoxicator machine will read the alcohol concentration from your mouth, whether it can be alcohol ethanol that's just in your mouth, or isopropyl ethanol that can be just ingestion.
And so you, did you interview Danny Dawson?
Yes, I did.
And did you ask Danny Dawson about these factors for the night in question?
I sure did. She does not remember, she said that she didn't have any mouthwash or breath mint, but she does remember having a little bit of heartburn after she ate burgers and fries that night, but she cannot remember if she burped or not.
So the defendant, so Danny's heartburn could have affected the results.
Oh, absolutely.
How would they have done that?
Well, if it's indigestion, obviously these readings would be incorrect.
And what effect would it have on the results?
What effects? Just be inaccurate entirely, because whenever these models do read the alcohol concentration level, it's supposed to be from within your lungs, the alcohol concentration in your lungs, and not from necessarily your mouth, the breath within your mouth.
Would the results be skewed in one direction or the other?
Yes, it can be.
So if there was the mouth alcohol, which way would it skew the test?
Well, it has to be the mouth alcohol that's returning within your lungs, and not the mouth alcohol that was in your mouth.
Okay.
So to speak, the isopropyl would be the one that being measured.
Right.
In comparison to indigestion, as the mouth ethanol alcohol, it's just within your mouth.
Okay. Now, all right. No further questions, John.
All right, so cross.
Yes, Your Honor. You have testified in over 100 cases, correct?
Yes, that is correct. It is my specialty as a doctor to testify on untoxicized machines.
And these tests were on blood alcohol measurement?
That is correct. They are.
And each of these tests you testified for were for the defense, correct?
That is correct, yes.
You were paid for your work, correct?
Well, yes, I am an expert on what I do, so therefore it is a living, and I would be expected to pay for that.
$250 an hour?
Yes, that is correct.
And
It's a
you work-
standard rate
You
within
worked
my
on this,
fields.
you worked on this case for 20 hours?
20 hours, roughly around that.
It was about $5,000 you made. Okay.
That's, yes, typically speaking, if the defense or whichever side I'm working on needs me for longer, then that'll be more. That's correct.
You were also paid an additional $2,000 to testify, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So just alone today, in about the last 10 minutes, you made $2,000?
Well, anyone in my standard field is common as a standard rate. So yes, that is correct, $2,000.
You were hired by the defense to measure Danny Dawson's blood alcohol level,
Yes, that is correct.
and then in order to do this, there were several factors that were involved, correct?
Yes,
One of the factors involved is the amount of alcohol consumed,
that is correct.
and you talked to Danny Dawson.
Yes, I did interview her.
So after talking to Danny Dawson, you assumed that she's telling the truth about the amount of alcohol she drank.
Assumed, and I did not necessarily assumed it. I believe what she said because each drink does seem like it would be the equivalent of how much she was given.
You also assumed that she drank as frequently as she said she did.
Well, I think assumptions, not necessarily. I took her word for it, and I'm thinking that each drink per hour would come up to the exact readings.
And you assumed that her drinks were strong, had the standard amount of alcohol in them, correct?
The standard amount of alcohol. Well, yes, if it's a drink, then I guess there would be a standard amount of alcohol in a cocktail.
So after the defendant told you this, you came to the conclusion that her BAC level was only around about 0.08.
That is correct.
So if the defendant drank more than she said she did, the results would be different.
Well, if the test was actually administered properly, then we would actually know the exact amount of how much she had to drink. And since that was not done, then we don't know.
And if the defendant drank more frequently than she said she did, then the results would also be different.
That is correct, but we do not know this because the test was not administered correctly.
And if the drinks were stronger than the defendant said they were, then again, the results would be different.
Like I said, we do not know that. So technically, yes, but we don't know that, so.
You would agree that the Intoxilizer 8000 is a proper measure to basically screen out substances that are not ethical?
Yes.
And you also would say that the red to blood ratio is a very important factor in determining the validity of the BAC results.
No, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
The Intoxilizer 8000 is a proper measure on screening out substances. Oh, sorry, wrong question. The red to blood ratio
Okay.
is a very important factor in determining the validity of the BAC levels.
Yes, it
Result.
incorporates both of those. That is correct.
The defendant's temperature is also taken into consideration.
Yes, absolutely.
And the defendant's BAC levels were high,
Okay, yes. Yeah,
and
that is
so
right.
the results of the temperature were negligent.
I guess, yes, negligence.
So they did not really have any relevance in general.
Well, I would think relevance to a situation such as this would be completely entirely